Welcome to the Las Vegasville podcast, brought to you by Jump Studios, where we cover topics related to everything happening around Sin City, including the social media scene, food, and a whole lot more, with some of the best, most popular accounts around the city, and talk about their success in Vegas and beyond. I'm your host, Philip Zhang, aka Las Vegas Phil. Check me out on IG or TikTok, and feel free to text or leave me a voicemail at 702-551-4445. On with the show. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm actually still away, so I've set up another great compilation, and this is one of my favorites. It's actually the best inspirational moments from big-time LV social media accounts. Pretty much every episode, there's at least 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gems. I wish I could fit them all into here, but I didn't have time to sift through all the episodes. But first one is the inspiration for actually restarting this podcast. I really got to give all the credit to Drew, aka Unlocked, for really lighting my ass to kind of explore doing the show again. He kind of goes into it on his return episode at the Jump Force studio, which was his first time in the studio, over some old fashions, and it was a really fun time.
You saw us or anyone? No, just start. Like I told you with the podcast shit, you'll never do your 50th if you don't do your first. And it's the same thing with the residency. We didn't have a fucking clue what we were doing with the podcast. We were like, oh, let's do a podcast. All right, who knows how to edit a podcast? Who knows how to record a podcast? Who knows how to do anything? None of us. Dude, YouTube it all and just go. And you'll never do your 50th without doing your first. And now with that, we're on episode, I don't know, 115?
156.
No, 115.
116.
116.
Yeah.
Fuck me. I feel like I should know that. But again, it's never too late. Do it now. Start the YouTube now. I started posting consistently on YouTube maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I think it'll hit 100K next week. It's growing pretty fast.
Yeah, thanks to Carl's Donuts.
Yeah, shout out to
22 million and counting.
Shout out
now?
to fucking Carl's Donuts, dude. I you know what? I'll be the first to admit I rape content. I rape it. I don't fucking care. I know it's gonna do well, and I fucking rape it. So I do.
So last time we did the podcast, the residency had just done their 50th episode. And as of this recording, you, Lo, and Jeff are on your 116th.
Yep.
It is the only weekly podcast done on the Las Vegas Strip with the studio at the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook.
Can IG Reels?
Yeah.
And then once you hit 10K on Facebook, you get implemented into the Facebook Watch ad program, which pays the $10 CPM, which is astronomical. Very easy to do, though. We all have tons of content we're sitting on. Post 3 times a day on Facebook Reels and watch it fucking explode. And don't get me wrong, the first 20 you're going to fucking absolutely do dog shit.
Yeah,
but after that, just like YouTube, you're going to get a couple that popped off. I just posted a short on YouTube yesterday. It's already like 150K. You just never know what's going to go viral. And that video's dog shit, by the way.
What is that video?
I
haven't looked at it yet.
I don't know. It's it's not 150K in 8 hours worth. I'll tell you that much. It's just not even good. But again, just post 3 times a day. All of these platforms, they do not reward quality of content. They reward consistency. If you want to grow, post 3 times a day on TikTok. Do it. That's all it is.
Yep. Totally. Let's talk about your recent IG heater you've been on.
Yeah.
I mean, you've always had big posts.
Yeah.
Stuff go off. Maybe a little over a couple months ago, you were sitting at 395K, and then the crazy run started.
Yeah.
5.4 million on Spam Musubi from Pina Cafe. The Flaming Skull dessert from Chica at 6.1 million. I didn't even know that went that big until Food God featured it. And then you capped it off with a massive Carl's Donuts post. Over 41 million views, 1.5 million likes, but it hasn't stopped, with several others going down the line. You went up, 85K followers?
Yeah, I gained like almost 90,000 in like 3 or 4 days. And I remember Paul saying as well, like when he had his crazy Cali Bomb video, like you wake up and it's like 10,000 new followers, 20,000 new followers. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? At what point, though, it does kind of slow down and you will lose a little bit of those followers, unfortunately, just because they're coming from all over. Usually the Unlocked account, for the most part, is predominantly all Vegas followers.
Yeah.
That post, though, kind of spread it a little bit, which I guess is out of my wheelhouse and my focus, but it was crazy. Dropped a little bit of followers and it jumped right back up, and there's another reel going crazy at like 13 million over the past week. It's that damn lobster.
The Mastros.
The fucking Mastros video, god damn it. You pour fucking butter on anything, humans, lobsters, it doesn't matter. And it's going fucking crazy.
That's true.
And now it's growing pretty wild again.
Last time I looked at that was 2 days ago. It was 9 million.
It's, I think, 13 million right now.
Holy shit.
I want to say. But you look at like the shares and some of these insights, some of these posts get like 180,000 shares and like 60,000 people saved it. Like these are fucking crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And by the way, these businesses get that for free, which fucking blows my mind. But whatever. I'm happy for them, I guess. But I guess, hey, our accounts grow by followers, I guess.
Yeah.
It didn't grow by any money though. So
That's part of the deal sometimes,
know.
right? But what's most interesting to me is that only one of those, which happens to be the biggest one, the Carl's Dundas post, is the voiceover,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's
Where
that's
most of them are
yep.
popular music or audio clips.
Yep.
That's your biggest post ever, right?
I want to say
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really looked, but I'm almost certain. Yeah,
Okay.
and that was a voiceover. Yeah, I'm taking behind the scenes look at Carl's Donuts, pumping out donuts. It's 1966. Get fucked. Yeah, it's cheesy. But unfortunately, that cheesy bullshit is what everyone loves now.
The top episode on YouTube is actually Norma Geli. Shout out to Norma for coming onto the show. I've had a chance to see her work on a couple of the episodes that we did together. Super inspiring stuff. And I understand why it's the top episode. I mean, who wouldn't want to get an insight into what she's all about? Norma works her ass off, and we kind of go into the leap of her actually quitting her job to go full time. I think for a lot of the influencers out here, that is just a huge moment for anyone to kind of leave what they knew behind and kind of go into this whole industry. Would Norma Geli's channel even have happened without COVID-19?
It's sad to say, but no, it wouldn't have, because the only reason it happened was because, you're at home, you're stuck at home, you have nothing to do, you're watching TV all freaking day. I have no idea how many movies and shows I binged through. But yeah, I remember watching TV, and I told my roommate at the time, I was like, hey, let's go somewhere. Where do you want to go? And she was like, what? And I was like, here, come sit with me. And I said, what's a place you've always wanted to go? And we both said Napa. So I literally just look on YouTube. I put up my trip to Napa. And we just started from there. We got into Chicago, LA, New York, France, all these other places. And eventually, yeah, it got to Vegas. And then that's when I saw the videos that I wish I could see aren't there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't know if I was going to get my job back, after quarantine, which was, I was a concierge. And I did get my job back. But at the time, it was April, March. I didn't know if I was going to get my job back. So, I mean, I had kind of researched, and I saw that YouTubers can make money. And my roommate had said, well, why don't you do, a YouTube for Vegas, since you're a concierge, you know a lot of things. And, there was wine involved, obviously. Make the best decisions with wine.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, you know what, you're right. And I literally pulled out a notepad, and right there on that night, I had 50 topics. Already. I was like, what? This is insane. And then obviously I still had friends in the concierge community. And I kind of hit them up, and they kind of helped me with some too, because, they know a lot too. But yeah, before quarantine ever happened, or COVID and all that, I was super busy in the concierge role. I was very much involved. I was trying to become president of the Nevada Concierge Association.
Wow.
Yeah,
I get the rings and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, I was trying to do the Le Clé d'Or, but no, it's called the Southern Nevada Hotel and Concierge Association. I was trying to become president of that thing, and I remember I was trying to run, not for president, but I was trying to run for the board, to be a member of the board in July 2020. And so obviously, with quarantine, you take a step back, and I didn't think that, that's not possible anymore. So I had to kind of shift. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. If quarantine would have never happened, I'd still be in concierge right now.
That's unbelievable. And the momentum kind of picked up, well, it seemed from my point of view, it came pretty quickly. Even by the 9th or 8th, 9th, 10th video, people were telling you, they recognized you and they loved your videos. And so many people, spend years and years uploading shit all the time. I mean, what do you think for you, I have my reasons why, but what do you think personally for you is the reason why you had such big growth?
I think it was because of the subject that I got into. So, I mean, I kind of saw the need of people wanting to get out. So same thing like when I told my roommate, I was like, hey, let's go somewhere. Let's go to Napa and let's, watch videos. Like, I remember everybody was like, oh my God, once we get out of quarantine, like I'm going on vacation. And it's like everybody was desperate for a vacation. So in my head, I was like, okay, well, come to Vegas, So obviously, like, I knew I knew things were going to be different after quarantine. So I was like, okay, let me show what Vegas is now after quarantine. And yeah, like the moment Vegas opened back up, yeah, obviously it took like a little bit to kind of like reopen, but yeah, people started coming here. I mean, it was the middle of summer, like people wanted to go out.
And then you go through all this on YouTube. You finally you get the call to get your job back.
Mm-hmm.
When did you go back?
It was like the last week of August. So yeah, because the Strip opened up in June, like beginning of June, and yeah, like my specific job they didn't reopen until like later, like a few more months. So yeah, it was like last week of August is when I got the call back, and I came back and everything. But still, like even though I went back to work, I maybe only worked once a week. There was times where I wouldn't go back for like 2 weeks.
So you were just on call?
Yeah, I was basically on call.
Wow.
I was, full time, and then I went down to on call, and I, barely went to work. So I was like, okay, so meanwhile, I'm going to keep this YouTube thing that I'm doing and do both at the same time. And then eventually, I had to become full time again. And by then, I was already so deep into YouTube. I was like, I'm not leaving YouTube, like the heck. So I had 2 full-time jobs, really.
So going back in August, so that the wheels were already turning at that point. Mm-hmm. That was almost never the plan for me. I was actually a timeshare concierge, kind of a different thing, completely different thing. But let's talk about the time leading up to finally making the decision. I mean, what was really the final tipping point for you to submit your resignation?
So, okay, it was one very specific video. So I did a video called, I think that was called like Vegas Nightclubs 101. I basically interviewed 5 different people. So making a video interviewing 5 different people is a lot. It's a lot with editing. And I remember thinking like, okay, at the very end, I want to do an awesome montage of me like at the club and like, just something really cool. And because I only had 2 days off of work, and I would I would come home, do my filming, my editing, and it was just so much. I literally had no time to do that montage, and I had to get it out, still Friday, 9 a.m. So to me, I'm very strict on that. Like you are releasing that day, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Right. So yeah, it was like Thursday night. I was halfway through my editing, and I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to get this montage in, because montages take a really long time to edit. And so that was one of the things. I was so disappointed. I was mad. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I can't do the type of videos that I want to do. Like, I can't do the artistic side of it because, like, I'm so freaking busy with my other job too. I have to do these videos very simply. And it wasn't like just that. Like, at the same time, I got like a phone call from a manager. So I have a manager, and he helps me out with a lot of things. And one of them would be he helps me with like sponsorships. So that morning, so it all kind of happened at once. It's really funny. So besides that Vegas Nightclubs video, that morning I get a phone call from my manager saying like, hey, guess what? This one company wants to like do... They want to sign you up for 5 months to do 5 ads for them. Oh, and don't forget you have this one. And then I had another person call me saying, hey, don't forget to sign the contract for this one. And I think it was all in that moment that I lost it. I told my manager, I was like, I think I have to quit my job. And he was like, really? Are you sure? Like, I know you've been really against it. I'm like, I know, but like, I can't do the work I want to do. It's like, it's becoming too much. And this was in the middle of me having to move out. Because I had another roommate at the time, and my lease was over, and I had to move out. And it all, on top of that, moving out's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I never want to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I moved out to where I live now. But basically, I was like, how am I gonna edit? How am I gonna film? How am I gonna move out all at once? Like, it was just way too much. And, like, this might be a little TMI, but, like, I remember I was, like, on the way to a haircut appointment, and I was, like, bawling my eyes out because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this has become way too much. I'm stressed out all the time. I have no life. Like, I know I make it look in my videos like I'm having a blast at all times, but I had no life at all. It was, like, it was a little bit too much. And, yeah, like, I went to my boss and I was like, hey, like, before I, like, submit my 2 weeks, is there anything we can do? Can I just work 3 days a week, whatever? Obviously, it's a corporate job. The answer was no. So I was like, okay, well, this is my 2 weeks then.
Right there.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. I did not know. Like, I know people kept saying, like, oh, you're going to have to quit your job. And my answer was no, no, no. And I knew I was going to have to quit my job at one point. And people would say, no, you'll know when you'll know. And I did not know it was going to come in that form.
Amazing. Yeah, I fought it tooth and nail the whole way. I never thought I was going to quit my job either because I liked my job, but it just became too crazy. Next up, we have Alexandra Lourdes. She had actually never done a podcast before. I honestly didn't know if she was going to say yes, but I was super thrilled when she did, and we had an amazing conversation. She actually shared the entire episode on her channel. She has like 700K subs on that. And we talk about her humble beginnings from an influencer to the entrepreneur, the boss that she is.
Right away, a restaurant reached out to us and said, can you guys do an event for us? And I was like, so Lynn is like, do you guys want to do an event? You know, her and I. And so we ended up doing an event together with this restaurant called Andiron. Do you remember Andiron?
Yes.
Back in the day?
Yeah, the former, now Harlow.
Harlow, yeah.
Yep.
So we did an event for Andiron, and it went super well. It was a happy hour event. And from then, that event, the restaurant was like, can you guys just run our social for us? Like, and do our marketing. And we're like, okay, we don't know how to do marketing, but we really did know. We just didn't realize that's what we were doing. You know, like, I feel like a lot of times, like, social media foodies, like, they don't realize, like, I mean, they're marketing the company. So we ended up forming a marketing company overnight, the Refined Agency. And that was our first client. And then from then on, they just referred us to a bunch of different food and beverage clients. And we had probably 30 clients by the end of the first year. It was.
What year was this?
Oh, gosh.
16,
It was like 2012, 13, maybe?
What? Oh, my God.
Because we opened Cafe Lola in 2016. And we had the marketing company like 2 years before that.
Wow.
So we were doing marketing for 2 years. You know, we had a lot of clients. We loved it. We were working at a coffee shop, so we realized there was a real like gap in the market. There was not a feminine coffee shop. A lot of places didn't have gluten-free items. And we just really wanted to create a space for women to like really feel comfortable, feel inspired, and also have really good food because, you know, I'm the foodie.
Yes.
So I was like, I just want a coffee shop that I can go to and actually eat really good food and have gluten-free options, dairy-free options. So that's how Cafe Lola was born. And we really found a spot like on Hualapai. Originally, it was actually another spot we wanted for our first location, but they didn't want to give us the spot because they were like, you guys don't have enough experience.
I bet they're regretting that now.
It was so funny. Like they actually reached out to us a couple, like last year, I think, and they were like, do you guys want to do something else now? But we had like 4 restaurants at the time, and it was too close to our other locations. So, yeah, so we ended up signing a lease. We didn't really have any experience in food and beverage other than doing marketing for a company. But to me, I feel like having a marketing background really benefited us in a restaurant world, you know, because I feel like sometimes these chefs are these amazing, you know, creators or restaurant creators, like they don't know how to market themselves, and they may be amazing, but then no one knows about them, and they could fail that way, you know. And to me, like us going into it having a marketing background, like all we needed to do was figure out how to make really good food. Luckily Lynn's husband knew how to. Has always worked in kitchens. He's worked for Wolfgang Puck for a long time, so he helped kind of create a lot of the food. And then I took a bunch of I did a bunch of like prep on drinks. So I learned how to do all the drinks. So together, I mean, we just put our heads together and we figured it out. And we just really wanted to make sure that the quality of our food really backed up the marketing. So that's kind of how Cafe Lola was born.
Amazing. Let's talk sponsorship and brand deals. I mean, I saw that Chevy one on YouTube, and it's a really interesting thing as an entrepreneur to field influencer deals. I mean, how does that work? Do you rely on agencies to do that, or do they just reach out to you?
So the brands actually reach out to me directly and they'll email me, which has been awesome. Like I feel like I put myself in a position that that I feel like I can kind of do. Like I've done like stuff for Staples. I've done stuff for like, you know,
The
like
movie,
brands like
the Tom Hanks movie
yeah,
too?
the Tom Hanks movie. And I even like, for example, like Tampax or like a brand like that, you know, I'm like, I can literally make a Tampax donut and like, it'd be funny and people actually watch it, you know, and it could be a brand deal, like, but it's like more authentic and real. And I think I've put myself in this position that like, I can make really cool ads actually for people, not just like these kind of forced things, you know? So like I have a couple coming up that I'm like, I actually feel like I can do them without being like, oh, I don't, you know, like I don't ever want to feel like I don't want to take an ad that like feels forced, right? Like, so yeah, they reach out to me directly in email, and luckily, because of, like you said, I've been on the other side of it too. So I kind of know both sides as an agency as well as like an influencer, as well as a restaurant owner. Like, so I'm like, okay, I kind of know how to negotiate and how to, you know, deal with it. And now I have like a manager helping me because it's gotten a little bit crazy.
That field
so,
everything.
Yeah. So I just send them directly to my manager now, and she deals with them all and then tells me like, you know, when we've negotiated one to a good deal, which has been amazing.
That's so cool. Of the percentage of one, what are the percentage of ones you say yes versus no?
I would say like it depends like on if
Some
I
of
can.
them are crazy.
Yeah, some of them are crazy. Yeah, or if like, for example, there was like one that was like a game, but in the game it was for like Sophie, and like it promoted like shooting stuff, and I'm like, no, like I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Like
No.
if I don't like believe in it, or if I don't think it's like a good fit, like I'll always say no. But for the most part, a lot of the brands like that I've worked with have been awesome, and they're kind of bigger brands lately that I've been working with, which feels really cool. But they reach out to me because they know I have an authentic audience, and I think that being like an entrepreneur and a mom, I have like a lot of wiggle room, right? Like I can either do it at home. Like I did a brand for soft soap, right? Like a brand deal for soft. It was like a hand washing company, but I like fit it in. Like I was doing a recipe with my daughter. And Sophie actually loves washing her hands. So I was like, Sophie, like, I'm like, just say we have to wash our hands first before I do the recipe. And she did it. And she was so cute on the video, and she did it perfectly. And like, so we washed our hands, and then we did the recipe, and I shared content. Like I shared one of my favorite recipes while we were doing that ad. So I feel like, to me, it's like giving someone valuable information for watching that ad, you know?
Totally.
I'm like, I want to give back. I'm like, I'm not going to just make you watch an ad, right?
Yeah.
Like here's an amazing recipe.
It feels like it fits right in.
Yeah.
Give or take, how many selfies with fans do you take a week?
Oh gosh, if I'm at St. Honoré or Cafe Lola, yeah, if I'm at one of the restaurants, I felt like 50% of the people want to take a picture with me. It's amazing. Yeah.
And then they probably have to call in advance, because with all the locations, like
they kind of I actually do think that they call a lot. Like my Summerlin staff, they were telling me like there's a girl that calls every day that wants to meet you, and I'm like, oh, that's so funny. But then most of the time, I think that they just are pleasantly surprised when I'm there. Like I don't think that I think they would go regardless if I went, because they like to support me and they like tag me, and which is so cool. But if I'm there, like they'll be like, oh my God, you know, and then they will take a picture with me.
Totally.
I love. I love when people actually like ask me to take a picture.
Before Keith Lee, there were influencers that actually existed that did blow up restaurants and cause huge lines out the door. Maybe not to the level of Vegas Foodie Jesus, but one of them that was super inspiring, and I got to have an inside view on, was Hooked LV, and how he blew up Amano in the summer of 2020. Back then, he didn't have that many followers. Well, compared to now, I think he had maybe like 50K at the time. But one particular clip for Amano went off for about 8 million views. It catapulted him to like over 300K. There were lines out the door at Amano for 3 months straight. There were some days where they ran out of ingredients at like 6 p.m. And it was just the most amazing kind of thing to see how that all worked. And it was almost like an overnight thing with TikTok. And we kind of go into that with Damien now. Damien's just one of the best influencers in town. If you are a restaurant, I would put him on the very, very short list of people that you would have to have in your restaurant. Yeah, Amano was like, a whole new wave of people that came in, lines out the door literally for a month straight.
You told me it was like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy like that. 3-hour waits.
Every day.
They named a fat baby after you just because.
Yeah, that was crazy. Actually, Amano, I can, give a lot of credit to Amano, because Amano was like the first restaurant that, Amano was the restaurant that like catapulted me to a different level on TikTok, because it was my first super viral video with like 7.8 million. I don't even know what it's at now. It's probably like still around there, but 7.8 million. And it took I remember I was working at my job, my old job, and I was in the walk-in, and I was just looking at my Instagram because it was going viral.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I was maybe I was close to 10K. It went viral, 15K, 20K. TikTok was at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 200.
Yeah.
Kind of blew it up. So Amano, that was that video that kind of took everything to another level.
Yeah. There were many days where they ran out of ingredients. They had to shut down at like 6 p.m.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And they would just count the people outside and figure out, okay, you're the last in line.
Oh, really?
We're done. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, the Hooked LV Fat Baby. You've never had it, you gotta go try it. It's
one of my favorites.
Yeah, when I was making it, I was like, man, my favorite type of pasta is chicken piccata. So it's like citrusy, lemony. And I was like, man, imagine that in that Fat Baby. So we got that, and chicken wings are also another one of my favorite foods. I can eat chicken wings every single day. And they only have the garlic fennel ones, right?
Yep.
So we could put the garlic fennel ones in there, and that's it, right? I think that's all it's in there.
Yeah. But it's killer. It's one of my favorites.
It's good
And
stuff.
I see people order it still all the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone tag me or post it in a long time, but
One of my favorite pieces of advice that have ever been given on the show is from Jennifer Gay, aka Vegas Starfish. She drops a ton of gems in her first episode on here. Check out some of them here.
Let me back up. I had a dream that I was going to be TikTok famous. And I woke up in the middle, like, it wasn't like an ambient haze, but it felt like an ambient haze.
How long ago was this?
It was January 9th of 2021.
Okay.
And I woke up like in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., and I ordered a ring light and like some stands and stuff on Amazon, and I went back to bed. And then I forgot about it. And a few days later, all this stuff showed up at my house, and I called my sister and I said, I had a dream that I'm going to be TikTok famous, and I bought all this equipment, and I think I'm insane. And she's like, Jen, you don't even let people take pictures of you. Like, there's no way you're going to be on TikTok. And I was like, I know, it's weird, right? So I put everything away. I forgot to return it. And then I made some videos, just personal videos, to see how it felt. And I needed a handle because I knew in a post-COVID world that I did not want to work for a major corporation anymore. I loved my career with Wynn. I was with Wynn for a long time, and before that, MGM Resorts. But my paycheck went away overnight, and I realized that the career I had built was not mine at all if someone could take it away from me. And even though I had a great resume, what was it worth, So I made a couple of videos, and then I saw a video on TikTok that really pissed me off. And it was a woman who said that if you walk into a casino hotel and you put $20 between a driver's license and your credit card,
The sandwich.
you slide it to the front desk and you wink, that they'll give you the presidential suite. And like, that's not how it works. And so I made a video responding, and I was really nice. She did block me, which I'm still salty about.
Man.
But I responded and I said, that's not how it works. There's a matrix, and if they have available upgrades, they'll give them to you because they want the best rooms to be occupied, but they're not going to give you the presidential suite for $20. It just doesn't happen. And I said, furthermore, you don't have to be sneaky about it. Just tip, and they'll, upgrade you. Like, it's a tipped position. They're allowed to accept gratuities. And that video went viral, and it freaked me out. So I deleted the video like any sane person would do. I was like, 8 million people have seen it. This has to go away immediately.
And this was a green screen style, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I initially, when I first found you, you were doing a lot of green screen.
And I had this idea that like I was never going to leave my house. I was just going to make Vegas videos from home, and it's all changed so much. But so then I realized, like, at that point, my name was like user 9912 14 16 18Q. And I was like, I need a name. So I went with Vegas, and I chose Starfish because starfish are incredibly adaptable and regenerative. You can cut them up into pieces and they'll grow back. And I kind of imagine that that's, as a mom and a creator, that's how I'm going to have to be. I'm going to have to be able to kind of overcome obstacles, because the only way to stay relevant in social media is to continue to adapt and evolve. So Vegas Starfish came from that, I think, April 11th of 2021. And that's when I said, all right, we're going to do this, and we're going to try. And For the first 3 months, all I did was green screen stuff from my office at home. And then Amir Hangry invited me to go to Mr. Shada sushi restaurant on Blue Diamond. And I thought I had arrived. I was like, holy shit, I get free sushi? This is the best day ever.
Shout out to Amir Hangry.
Yeah, I have found my career. So I went down there and I ate sushi, and I was like, people get free sushi for making videos. And that was such a cool day, because not only did it open up this whole world of like, wait a minute, like I can get free sushi, and then, but also I met so many cool people. And that was when I started to develop friends, you know, in the field and industry, and it has changed so much since then. But that was pretty good sushi. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, what a difference in just a couple years. I mean, just the whole scene.
Yeah. it's
Everyone's
crazy.
content.
I remember the first dinner you invited me to. It was Partage.
Yeah, we met at Partage in September 2021.
Yeah, that was like my third or fourth event. It was very early on, because you have a way of sort of embracing new creators. And I think I only had like maybe 50, 60,000 followers at that time. It was pretty low. And not that 50 or 60,000 is low, but
Compared to in the
Comparatively,
journey,
right.
yeah.
and I remember Heather was my date for the evening, and she told me, you're going to have to eat some stuff that's going to make you uncomfortable. Because up until this point, I pretty much was limited to like chicken, steak, and a baked potato. And I walked in, and like the second dish was like 9 kinds of raw fish with a cauliflower on top. And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, and I was like, well, how about it?
And Heather's like, you have to do it. Phil is the most important foodie in this city. You cannot embarrass me in front of him. And I was like, shit. So I ate it. I hated it.
I understand. Thanks for being a champ.
But I
about
would
it.
love it now. That's the thing, though, is like everything is so different now. Like now I'll eat anything.
Yeah, and that's really a really cool part of the food journey, just a personal food journey, is all the stuff we're exposed to.
Yeah.
And we grow from what we're served and what we eat. Yeah, you had intrigued me for a while, and I was dying to meet you because of your really cool and unique take on things. Little did I know you were literally just getting warmed up to all this. And the coolest thing was that you went live for the entire dinner. I mean, no one else had ever done that before. And, you know, all the questions you were answering and all that stuff. I thought that was super cool and a really unique way to present the restaurant.
Right. I try to, even though I joked about the free sushi, my interest has always been in connecting with the followers more. Like the business side of it is really interesting to me, but without the followers and their fervent engagement, it doesn't really mean anything. Because when you make a video, it has to do well. It has to do well for the business, and it has to bring value to the followers. So I try to stay connected with them. I try to do live streams and, you know, communicate with them through stories and let them know what's going on in my life and take an interest in theirs. I respond to every single message that I get personally.
Really impressive.
Yeah, I do have help now on IG with just like, I get maybe 1,000 messages a day of stuff that's like, what hotel should I stay at? And I have someone who helps me with that, but she's just giving them information that I would provide, you know, so it's still pretty organic.
Yeah, even when we were in Miami, I mean, any free moment, you were always answering emails, always answering texts. And I was just super impressed with your work ethic, even when we were on break or vacation.
That was a really fun trip. Yeah. No, I probably put in about 16 or 18 hours a day right now, but there's a lot of momentum building, and I'm scared if I don't do that. Matter of fact, I'm leaving for a Disney cruise with my children tomorrow. And the first thing I did is I contacted Disney and I said, I will make some content for you, but you have to give me Wi-Fi. And they were like, done. That sounds amazing. And I was like, wait a minute, could I have gotten money too?
Right.
No, so I will work for Wi-Fi.
Good to know.
My new slogan.
Well, let's talk about the evolution of your content. We mentioned the green screen, and then you were going on location to film stuff, and then maybe a couple months later, you went off to another level and really didn't look back. The opening line of "Let's take a closer look at" was a great way to open the videos. How did you land on that, and how did it stick?
So I think every person who wants to create content has something about them that makes them special or unique. And the hardest part is finding that and then connecting it with the audience. And so I was making content kind of all over the place, breaking news and green screen and pictures, and none of it it was all doing okay, but nothing was really popping off. And I was talking to Heather, Vegas Know-It-All, one night, who was kind of the first monster influencer. You know, she had 250,000, I think.
Yeah.
And really took me in and introduced me to a lot of people and things. And she said, Jen, your strongest point is the way that you talk. You have a really good vocabulary. You articulate things well. She's like, you should try doing voiceovers instead of green screen stuff. And so I made a couple of variations of a video on Spago, and I sent it to her, and she was like, this is the one. And it was the let's take a closer look at. And I posted it, and it did better than anything. I think I got like 61,000 views, which at the time for me was huge. And I just went with it. That's what I stuck with. So I guess Heather is to blame for, or to attribute.
Amazing. Amazing. Heather's the best.
She really is.
Yeah.
She's great.
We had dinner at Golden Steer this past January when the ship was really taking off, where you went from 200K to 450K in what felt like a blink of an eye. I constantly marvel at the amount of content you put out. People tell me that they don't believe how you do it, and you incorporate the voiceovers not only to your account, but your clients' accounts as well. What was the decision to go in that direction with, let's say, like Lip Smacking Foodies, to do the voiceovers for the clients?
Because the only way that...
Sorry, I didn't even know Paul was here. Okay.
Oh, hey!
So quiet.
Hey, really cool office, man. I didn't know you were so official.
Thank you.
Like, I thought this was in, like, your mom's basement or something.
It basically is.
This is
I used to
amazing.
live here.
And if shit goes south, you could live here.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
I'm right here. I already know I'm
Yeah, no, what was the question? Where
I don't
are we?
remember. How has your perspective changed on social media because of the voiceover, because of the continual evolution of your posts?
I think that social media is in this crazy phase right now where, for the first time in history, anyone who has something they want to say or some creative talent that they can bring to the table, there's an ability to create a show. And then people either will or will not identify with it. Sometimes I'll see creators that I think are amazing, but then I'll look and they're, it's not resonating really, and it's not hitting the broader numbers. And I think that doesn't mean that you're not good at what you do. It means you need to kind of hone your skill in a certain direction and find your voice and your I guess, best way of applying your voice to the platform. But social media is crazy. It's the wild, wild west right now. Like, anyone can have a podcast or a channel. And I'm not saying that what we're doing isn't amazing, but I'm saying, like, anyone who's interested in this, it is a lot of work. I laugh anytime a micro or a nano creator says, I can't wait to do what you do. And I say, why? I always ask them, what are you most excited about? And they say, I can't wait to not have to work 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good luck with that. Let's chat in a year.
That's their goal.
And see how it goes. They're like, oh, you just get to go out and you get to, drink champagne and party every night. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it's like. You don't see me in my closet wearing pajamas and like eating Cheez-Its and editing footage for 14 hours. And, I'm not complaining. It's amazing. It's the best job I've ever had, but it's also the most work I've ever put into anything. And the amount of work you put into something directly pays off in results. And that's with everything, but especially social media. Because you take a few days off and you think, this isn't a big deal, but it is. It's a pipeline. And if you don't feed it perpetually, the returns start to diminish. And I'm sure you've seen that with your own channels.
Yeah. And people take the work for granted. And I would actually urge anyone that's interested in social media to rewind and listen to the last 10 minutes again. Because first of all, you consulted other people about your content, which made it better. You looked around and tried different things, and which I think everyone should do. You do the green screen, you do the location, you tried a bunch of different stuff, the breaking news, and to see what sticks.
Right. You have to also think about what resonates with you as a content consumer.
Yeah.
I personally get kind of tired of like just the sounds over the food videos. I want to see what I'm eating or hear about it, and I also like to see firsthand perspective. So I make what resonates with me. But I also know that there's an entire, niche market. Like you've carved out this space where it's like ridiculously expensive dishes, and people really dig that. They're like, I want to eat a $400 fish.
Right.
Like, let's make, so I think that it's about finding what resonates with you and then creating content based around that.
Are you already envisioning the post as you're shooting? Do you already have the whole thing worked out when you arrive? I mean, how does that all work out?
It's funny you say that. A couple of PR companies that have reached out to do some sponsored work lately, they want me to send them a creative like directive of what I'm gonna do, and I'm like, how? I don't know. I've never been to your thing before. And like the first one I said that to, they were really offended, and they were like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "No." And I realized that it was coming across in a manner that was unkind. I said, I don't pre-plan. I do my research. I have an idea, but I won't know how I feel about it until I get there. And so I can't tell you what I'm going to say about your experience because it has to be real. And if it's not authentic, if it feels commercialized, it's not going to connect with the audience. And so I always tell them on the front end, like, if it sucks and I hate it, I'll tell you. And I won't say anything negative. You don't have to pay me. Like, it's cool. I've never taken money from a small business to run a promo ad, but from the big corporations, I will. But I always clarify in the comment, like in the, this is sponsored or paid for.
Yeah.
But I'll tell them, I'll say, look, if I get there, I did zero latency recently, and they're not still, like, they paid me for the post, but this is not paid work right here. It was really cool. But if it had sucked, I would have just written back and said, like, look, this was not good, and I'm not going to write about it. I recently had a dinner at a place I will not name, a big player here in town, and I hated it. It was not a positive experience. I wrote the PR firm. I said, I can't do it. And they were like, that's cool. Thanks for being honest. But when I'm enjoying something, I hear the voiceover in my head as I'm doing it. So, like, I kind of come up with it, and then I'll leave and go to my car and record it immediately. So
amazing. Now I'll picture you in your car.
Yeah.
Right, when I see the post now.
And you can always hear it faintly if the air conditioner's on in the background.
Really?
So, yeah. So I have to, like, work on that.
But yeah, going back to, not liking a place, I mean, that unfortunately has happened to me as well, maybe 5 times in the past year where stuff was set up, money, and it just sucked.
Yeah, it's only happened, I think, 3 or 4 times for me. And
Yeah.
you're the reason that I do that, because I reached out to you one time and I said, what happens if you accept money for a place and it's not good? And you're like, tell them, give them their money back. And when I realized that if you don't worry about the money, like, don't take a gig because you need the money. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because obviously we're all doing this as our career, so money is a factor. But don't let money guide your impression on something, because the very first time that you lie about something to your followers, they will pick up on it and they will never trust you again.
Yeah. Authenticity is so important. Honesty, transparency.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the money. Just do good content, and then the money will come.
Brandon Johnson, a.k.a. Brandon from Vegas, talks about treating social media like a business. And I think once you do that and kind of look at it, I mean, it can still be fun, but if you take it a little more seriously, I think that really helped him take things to the next level.
You treat social media like the business that is, the more successful you start being. So instead of just posting randomly, I would see like, oh, my TikToks are cracking at this time. I'm going to post at this time. Just basically started giving the audience what it is that they want. And then like every other, D-bag looking for the lazy way out, I just taken my TikToks and reposting them to Instagram, because it turns out if people like the video on TikTok, then they're probably going to like it on Instagram too.
Totally. And YouTube Shorts and all that
Reels.
Yep. Yeah. Your IG has been going bananas for you on all the metrics: followers, shares, saves, impressions. Saw a couple of 2 milli screenshots, all that stuff.
Crazy. Well, I mean, I'm sitting here with Mr., freaking 40 mil, I don't know what to say about that, but like, yeah, they did pretty okay. I remember I even texted you excited, like, bro, everything I post is going, Big Jerk.
Yeah.
Big Jerk
Big
was
Jerk
the
went
start.
off.
Went off. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, let me see if I'm hot. And I posted another one, and it was like, boom. And I said, okay, let me post another one. It was like another 10. And then I started reposting like my most popular ever TikTok video, and that's when it just went nuts. Instagram started feeding it like crazy. I mean, how do I say this without sounding like just an asshole? But like, I could have posted the worst video ever, and for like a week straight, it was getting 100,000 views, And it's weird because you go from accounts that nobody watches and you're kind of just posting and sharing to now like, oh my God, people are actually eating at this place because I'm posting there, and it freaks you the hell out.
Yeah.
Freaks you the hell. I don't know how you handle it.
I kind of just ignore it and just look at it as numbers. these
Really?
days. Yeah.
It doesn't get you after like the 100th person comes up to you like, man, Phil, I ate at this place because I saw your video. Like, has it reached the point where it no longer like weighs on you? Or are you just kind of like, oh, whatever. I've heard it a million times.
No, it's cool. Yeah. Thanks. And I'm glad you liked it. Yeah.
See, you're cool about it. I don't know how to react still.
Well, yeah, because it's technically like, I mean, less than 2 years
Yeah.
of you doing this. So it's got to be, like for me, Paul, you know, it's been a few years, like a steady build up to people talking to you and all that kind of stuff. So it must be kind of messing with your head a bit.
Well, yeah, you guys all started off. You guys have been doing this for years. You guys were on Yelp. You guys were the OGs of this. So all these restaurants, all these owners, they already know you guys. You guys are familiar with the attention. I still get weirded out when I walk into a restaurant and the chef comes out and they're like, "Hey, Brandon," and I'm like, "You know my name? Oh my God, G. Golly Williker," you know? And I turn into like this fangirl. And then I see you and you treat these owners, we're like, "Oh, what's this guy's name? What's his name?" Oh, and I'm like, how cool is Phil, dude? He's forgotten more owners and chefs than I've ever met. Like, that's why they call him the mayor of Vegas. Holy crap. You know what you need? You need an assistant who stands next to you and just tells you what people's names are so you can be like, "Oh, hey, John, pleasure to meet you, pal. You're great."
That would be amazing. That would actually be super helpful because I'm like Googling shit like as I'm walking in. No lie.
He's not lying, you guys.
Yeah. Or look at old stories like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say where,
Sorry.
but I literally watched him do this where he's like, "Snap, snap, snap, snap. What's this guy's name? Google, 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 Google." It was pretty baller.
You know, a lot of people love the idea of being an influencer, but for a lot of us, there is some innate kind of motivation to make it happen. I mean, it's you versus you every single day, whether it's for voiceovers, going out there, shooting, things like that. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And one of the hardest working influencers I've ever met is Raina Huang, AKA Raina is Crazy. And we talk about just the sheer amount of work that she puts in and all the volume of posts that she does. And that's amazing. But speaking of volume, okay, like I think for an average food creator in Vegas, 7 times a week for posting would be a ton.
Yeah.
In the last 7 days on TikTok, just TikTok, you've posted 50 times.
I actually counted that.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
I counted. So, and 50 times would be like 2 months, 3 months for some of the
Really?
creators in town. But the amount of volume that you put out is just so impressive. And I mean, how is that? But that's just TikTok. But you're doing YouTube, you're doing Facebook, Twitter. I mean, how do you manage? What goes first when you finish a video? You post it on TikTok first, then you go to IG, and then you go to Twitter. Like, what's going on?
A lot of my tastings and just promoting restaurants are specifically only TikTok, just the short videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's the long videos, then I work on the YouTube video first, and then I work on the other stuff. But I guess I focus on TikTok most because like TikTok is where I edit the reels, and I just take that TikTok video and post it on Facebook, Twitter. It's all cross like posting. It's not like I'm making a new video for everyone. I just go on every platform and post it, and it works out that way. And then because I post so much, I just a lot of my videos are very simple, or they're just very simple things. But I already know kind of like what my viewers like to like. Like a lot of the food bringing out. That gets so much views for that. That's like 10 seconds, but it's just like a massive whatever. People bring it out, and people just like to see that. I'm like, okay.
I love the POV because you don't know what's coming out, and then when it finally comes out, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe Raina's gonna eat all this.
It's cute.
It's amazing, really astounding, and I think it goes back to saying, you just have this unstoppable innate drive to personally just put it out, right? I mean, you just have to want to do it. I don't think there's a course that you could take.
No,
motivation
no,
that you have to do this.
It's really just up to you. Like I've seen so many creators like come and go, and I try to help them out as much as I can, but a lot of the times, just like if it doesn't work out to like their expectations, maybe like 3 months of trying, they just stop posting or not be as consistent. And I mean, it is what it is. Like I can't force anybody to want to do it. Like this is, I've always just been a very ambitious person. I ever since I can remember, ever since middle school. Like I've just always had these like crazy dreams, and then. I wasn't well liked in high school, I think, because of that, because I was a little bit too weird. But I just wanted to do like all sorts of stuff. Like I just have that's just the kind of person I am. So it's really up to you to want it that bad and then pursue it.
Yeah. With all the guests on the show, I try to do a deep dive. I watched one of your videos.
I saw your comment
5 years ago. You were celebrating 5K subs, which was really cute with all your pets in the video, and you did a spicy noodle challenge. And I love that in the beginning of it, you were saying that, you were living your dream already at that milestone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, fucking amazing. What would 2023 Raina say to that person now, or any advice you would have given that person about the road that you've taken for competitive
Honestly,
eating and social media?
I would have just told her just keep doing what you're doing, because like I've always been grateful in my position. See, like you said, like 5K subs, I was already very grateful. I was like, I never thought 5,000 people sub to me. But I remember back then, every 1,000 sub I got, I was so excited, you know. I've always been very happy. This is my job, and I'm very grateful for everybody and all the support I get.
Another inspiring story is from It's Daniel Leo and It's Velia, who came in. I put them together as a social media power couple. In just a few months, they were able to kind of quit their own jobs, build an agency, and then do all this crazy, amazing content for so many businesses around town. And I love how this particular episode is kind of like a snapshot in time, because they are so much bigger now than they were when we had them on. And I'm looking forward to having Daniel solo on a different episode pretty soon. And we'll check out their leap from regular jobs to now.
Man, crazy. Moved out here, I was a food runner at the Luxor for a little bit. Before that, I ran a clothing brand. Obviously, we've talked about.
Yeah.
I had a clothing brand when I was living back in Chicago. I've done asphalt labor and construction. I've done
You're the guy laying it down?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, with the rake and all that. I've ran a couple machines and all that too. So I've done that. I did carpentry for a little while. I worked at delis. I worked at Walmart. I worked at the Jewel Osco, which is the Kroger brand.
Right.
For Chicago. I worked at one of those. So, and above that, I tried a lot of things: wholesaling, real estate, being intermediary, business broker. So many different things that I tried to do and pick up. So before I became an influencer.
Right. And do you feel like that experience has helped you now?
Oh yeah.
You guys are doing?
Oh yeah, for me, yeah, definitely. I think it's just the experience and seeing different cultures and different facets of life and the different ways that people have to make a living, and seeing different perspectives makes you, not just for the content perspective, but just more of a whole-rounded person. So
That's true.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a big thing with social media culture is that a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about Vegas, but overall, many of the influencers saw success pretty quickly when they were maybe in high school or early college, and they've never ever had to have a shitty job, which I think definitely helps me put things into perspective. I'm sure it does for you guys too. What would the 2017 versions of yourself think of you now?
Oh my God.
That would be crazy.
I don't know. What do you think, babe?
I don't know. For me, I think I always expected something to happen at some point. I think I just got to a point, I think after about 4 or 5 years, after you've ate shit for that long, you're kind of just like, you're just persistent and you just don't know, you're just going to fall into it. So I always expected some level of success, but didn't know what it would be. But now for it to be like, people are watching my videos rather than watching a video I made for a business, I think is just like amazing to me. And I never expected it to be me, be the face. So
of course. For me, I was stuck. I didn't know what to do. So looking at myself in 2017, I can definitely see a lot of progress. So
Yeah, so what was it like quitting your job? Like,
it was scary. It was scary. No, but I mean, I kept losing my job on and off. Like, I kept losing one job after the other, and I kept telling him, I'm like, this is not for me anymore. Like, this is definitely not for me. I have to do something else, because I either have to start my own business or I have to like pick up on what you're doing, which is being a content creator. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a shot. So, yeah, it worked out.
It's been amazing. Let's talk a little bit about IG versus TikTok. I mean, I think this time last year, I think we all thought Instagram was kind of dead in the water, and TikTok was going to take over. And then let's talk about the Instagram blow up for both you guys. I mean, when we first met last year, I think you had around 2K.
yeah.
And now you have 106K. Velia has had some sick reel posts with insane numbers, and just crossed the 50K follower mark. I mean, 2 to 3 years ago, that fast growth was super rare, at least in Vegas. And there are people that we all know that will probably never sniff 50K, which is crazy. Dan shared Velia's accounts reach last month, and it was an astronomical 17 million accounts reached.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And then to put that in perspective, I'm currently doing a little over 2 million in the past 30 days. So this is out fucking standing. What what do you credit? I mean, there's a lot of things that have gone into it, but what do you credit to the IG blow up for both you guys?
You want to go first, babe?
Yeah, I think it's because I felt like learning from TikTok, I had the upper hand to know what exactly the audience liked. So I just kept it that for the first 3 to 4 weeks, and that definitely helped out a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like when you if you did early days TikTok, I think it's easier to do the do reels more than anything else right now. I think someone who wasn't on TikTok that's trying to learn how to do reels, it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But I think that reels makes it a lot simpler to make videos. So I think with the templates and how the trending sounds pop up, it's better than TikTok now.
It's easier.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
outdone TikTok.
It has.
It's so weird.
I never thought that there would be an app that would out TikTok, and I think Instagram may have done it, at least for now.
For a lot of influencers out there, Local Living, aka Cody Musler, is a great person to lean on for business advice, things like that. She has done a ton of research and has really stepped up her game, and in many ways makes a ton more money than a lot of the influencers, especially on the brand and sponsorship end. And we talk a little bit about that here.
The other day about how we're the pioneers, I mean across the nation, not us as a group here, but we're the pioneers for influencing. This is such a new market, even though it's been going on for many years through Instagram and there was those lifestyle influencers, but it's becoming bigger and there's no structure to this. No one even knows how to navigate it, price anything. We're all just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks and that's what you got to do.
So you have actually gotten quite a few great paid posts.
Thank you.
And a lot of stuff that a lot of people aren't getting. So what do you think are some important things, some must-haves for influencers today? I get recently, the last 8 months, more people asking for a media kit
Yeah.
than ever before.
So I definitely have a media kit.
Is it a one sheet?
So I've been before I was even doing influencing and content creation for Local Livin', I did have collaborations for Cody Musler for photos. So I loved taking photos. So brands would reach out to me to do a collaboration. I've done a shoe company before. Anyways, I've done clothing companies and all that through my personal page. So I already knew that people were asking for media kits. So going into Local Livin', when I was reaching out, I already had one made. But yeah, it used to be I just used to do a one pager. And then I was well, everyone's sending one pagers. How do I stand out? How am I different? So then I transitioned to a different type of layout where I made it look like a book almost, flipping pages. And then now I do it like that where it's like a presentation deck almost. So it's a PowerPoint that they see in their email. I don't know how to explain it.
I think that's cool.
Unless you see it, it makes no sense. But yeah, it's a presentation PowerPoint deck. I put it in the email so it is visible right when they open the email, and I put it as a PDF so they can flip through it, and then everything's in there. I have a description of me, all my insights, my rates, who I've worked with. I definitely think all those points are important, especially who you've worked with, keep and switch them out if you need to. If you've worked with a crap ton of companies, definitely switch them out to be specific to the brand you're reaching out to if you can.
One of my favorite foodies of all time is definitely Lindsay Stewart, aka the Las Vegas foodie. We kind of came up at the same time. We met initially in January of 2017, way back when in Me Gusta Tacos. I think we both had around 2,000 followers at the time before she catapulted into the stratosphere with a bunch of crazy viral posts. We talk about some personal stuff with her here. So I love how you're super personal in your IG stories. I think way more personal than probably anyone else in the foodie circle.
To a fault, maybe.
I don't think to a fault. I think it comes off as extreme realness, and I think people really love that. But why? How did that come about? How did you make the conscious decision to go that way?
Well, thank you for saying that, first of all, because it definitely was a conscious effort to try to do that. And I started more so during the pandemic. My name is the Las Vegas Foodie on Instagram. It's not my actual name. And I just decided that I wanted to try to be a little bit different and stand out a little bit more and put more of a personality, not just the same food photos, because we all were having the same kind of edits, the same look, the Snapseed edits,
Right.
highly saturated. And then we obviously went into videos too, but I just wanted to be a little bit different. But I have to tell you, it was super hard to do it back then, to get on camera, because you're like looking at yourself, critiquing yourself, and no one just like likes to put their face on there. But it's still hard to this day. Like, I still get nervous, and sometimes I'm just like as much as I want to not do it, like I don't want to, like, you always want to look good, right? Like, I always feel like you want to look pretty and like have your makeup and your hair done, but like that's not real life, especially now with mom and kids. I'm not sitting there putting makeup on every day. I'm not doing my hair every day. So I think that got even harder when I was like, no, this is just me, like no makeup, no hair, like in my same shirt for 12 hours that I, went to bed in. Like, that to me was really, really difficult to like do that. And it's still hard to this day. But yeah, so I started doing that because I wanted to like differentiate myself a little bit more than, everyone else.
Yeah. And I think it's totally worked, because although you may feel like you're the only one in this boat, but there's probably so many people that follow you that have been in the same situation or are currently in the same situation where they're raising young kids. And you've gotten a lot of input on a lot of things, from products to changing diapers or diaper brands, things like that.
Lots of diaper talk on my
The DMs must
lately.
be crazy.
The DMs are fun. It is actually a lot of moms relating, and dads too. Like, I'm actually surprised that people chime in like they do, but sometimes they say stuff and I'll even be like, I don't know why I just said that. I'm so embarrassed. But I have a lot of people who are like, no, I went through the same thing. Like, this has happened to me. And there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, but now my kids are 20. Like, you still think about these things even though your kids are grown, So it's been fun relating to a lot of people like that, because I don't know, it's just so new for me.
One of the biggest changes to social media was right around the summer of 2020, when the voiceover kind of came in and took over TikTok and eventually took over Instagram as well. My first discovery of that was Talls, aka Talia, who her first few posts that I saw literally blew my mind, and I DM'd her immediately after going through her whole account. And I love talking to Talls because I learn something from her pretty much every time I talk to her. Despite her being half my age, or more than that, she has become an absolute force, blows up business all the time, and just imparts some amazing knowledge. And we talk about her foray into working for the Jump Force agency and dealing with clients. Right in front of us, but I didn't expect them to be here. What do you like the most about working with Jump Force?
Well, they really entertain my ideas. Like, that's probably the first thing that comes to mind is like, hey, like, we had one client and they were, they were a dance show, and I'm like, well, I want to do TikTok dances and I want to do this and that and this, and they're like, okay, we made it happen. They went viral. Like, like they're not quick to say no. They're like, okay, let's see how it works, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, that's one big thing about social media. You gotta take risks.
Exactly. Yeah. How did you get your clients? And to be honest, like I feel like my path is a little bit different than other people's paths, because mine was all word of mouth. Like, I didn't have to pitch myself to anybody. And that's like, it's hard for me to tell someone else of like how I got where I am, because I was just referred by people. So like my first client ever is because one of my TikToks for them went viral, and he was like, well, can you just run my social media? So I started doing that. And then, when I was going viral on TikTok, other restaurants were DMing me. I made a video for them, would go viral. They want me to run their socials. And then through that, I would be meeting people who were like, oh, well, I work for so-and-so company. We need TikTok. Can you do it? Sure. And so that's kind of like how I grew my clientele, like to the point where we're literally in this studio and I run a couple accounts for this agency. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, totally crazy. What was your first account?
Me Diet, this vegan restaurant in Vegas. Yeah. I'm not even vegan.
And then I often wondered, if social media management do you foresee this as a career? Do you think this is more of a stepping stone to something else?
I'm pretty transparent with this of like, yes, like I do see it as a stepping stone, but I don't see it as like a brief stepping stone, if that makes sense. Like, I kind of want it to be like a slow transition, because I don't want to just be like, okay, well, peace out, everybody. Like, no, like I've built these accounts. I love my clients and I love what I do and I love being creative, but also I do want to take some of my creativity and use it, for myself, and that who knows what that could be like.
And last but not least, the best advice was from Perez Hilton. I felt super lucky to have Perez on the show. It was just a real surreal moment in the podcast history to have him in the studio. And, you know, all of us are doing great. The momentum is definitely there, but he imparted some amazing advice and perspective that perhaps maybe this won't last, and we need to either savor it more or take advantage of it more.
I don't want to mention any names because I'm a more mature person, but not you, clearly, or other people, but somebody might have 5 million followers on TikTok, but 99% of Americans have no idea who you are.
True.
And people outside of that app have no idea who you are. And your followers on that app don't follow you elsewhere and won't support you on Instagram or Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or whatever. Like, you can only get a following on one app. That means nothing. It means nothing, because having done what I do for as long as I have now, it's not going to last. And I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer or anything, but I mean, before there was a TikTok, there was YouTube. And if you were in 2023 now, if you look at the top YouTubers of 2013, 10 years ago, the top 20 YouTubers, I think only one of them is still relevant. And that's PewDiePie. The rest have all gone by the way. So there's so much I could talk about with social media and so much advice I would give. But I think you personally, having started your social media career later in life, that actually gave you a great advantage because you had life underneath you and work experience, and you know the importance of things like diversification. Because I know that you don't just do social media for yourself, like you do social media for restaurants, and you have your own company and you've diversified. Or that Drew fella from Unlocked started like an actual ice cream store, which is so smart, because if it hasn't already happened for you or him or any of the other local food influencers, it will happen. Eventually, all of your views are going to start going down. All of your engagement is going to start going down. It happens to everybody. There is a shelf life for being an influencer. So you need to make as much money as possible when you're hot and be smart with it. Don't live beyond your means. Save, invest, diversify.
Great advice.
You know, young people just,
they never think it'll end.
You know, I didn't. I'm saying this because I made that mistake.
Right.
When you're young and you're hot, you think you're always going to be making crazy amounts of money. And it's always going to be so easy. And let me tell you, it's not. It's not.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegasville podcast. For more information about me and where I've been dining recently, check out my IG and TikTok at Las Vegas Phil. Feel free to text or leave me a voicemail about anything you want, 702-551-4445. Stay tuned as a new episode of the show debuts every Monday morning.